Is a deal between the Trump administration and Iran imminent? What's going to happen to the nuclear material? What's going to happen with the Strait of Hormuz? Is it going to be opened? And really, the question is the Trump administration chickening out or blinking and allowing basically the Iranian regime to survive and to go on and continue to suppress its people and continue to be a regional terrorist and a supplier of terrorism? Or are they somehow, is this deal a good deal? Or is this all just a kind of way to drop the defenses on the Iranian side so that the U.S. can attack? Let's watch the first pieces of information that's coming out about this deal from Fox. Check this out.
Just shared an update on those talks with Iran and a potential deal. We go straight now back to Alex Hogan. She is at the White House with this latest update for us. Alex.
Hi, Molly. So this is what we were talking about earlier, waiting to see if we would get some kind of readout from the White House about those conversations. Is exactly what we saw just a couple minutes ago. The president posting on Truth Social that he had what he's calling a positive call with leaders. This is concerning, of course, Iran and all things related to a memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace. The president writing on Truth Social, an agreement has been largely negotiated subject to finalization between the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran. The president also went on to say that he spoke with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, which then, quote, saying, likewise, that went very well. Final aspects of the details of the deal are currently being discussed and will be announced shortly. So to kind of break down who was in.
Just, the first questions are, is this because Trump is this art of the deal guy and he cares more about a deal than victory? Should we be disappointed? Those people who want to see the continuation of the war, should they feel disappointed or should they feel happy and relieved? Markets will open up again. The Iranian regime has been pushed down, suppressed. The lawn has been mowed. What's the perspective? Still not a lot of details for us to feel. But in a second, we'll get a sense from how Israelis are thinking about this. Let's just finish up the details of the impending deal.
In this call, we're told that this was a call between the president as well as the leaders of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Jordan, and Bahrain. So the main gist of this right here, the president writing, in addition to the many aspects, if we can bring that back up, the many aspects of the element, the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. And then again, saying thank you for your attention to that matter. So that's been the main gist of what these calls are reportedly breaking down. The Strait of Hormuz needs to be reopened. We have, of course, heard the president reaffirm time and time again that in order for any kind of deal, there would need to be some kind of agreement that would involve the enriched uranium, turning that over, and a guarantee that Iran would not be able to have any nuclear capabilities. We did hear earlier today on Iranian state TV, the Iranians saying that that's not part of this deal. So we'll wait to hear more from the administration if there is anything more that we should be following as it pertains to that. We did see a Marine sentry posted outside of the.
Okay, so the president is working on this, the president of the United States, that is. But there's also a palpable sense of disappointment that's starting to penetrate, of course, from previous dealings with President Trump. We know that ceasefires can be unmade. So the question is, what's going on with President Trump? Is he making a deal because he's a great art of the dealer? And therefore he wants to bring peace and stability, and he taught them a lesson, and they're never going to go back to terrorism? Or is he capitulating? Remember that President Trump was the very person who pushed so hard against the bad Obama deal, the Obama-Iran deal, officially known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, in 2015. And remember that President Trump was like, this is such a bad deal. Well, are you negotiating a better deal right now? Or is this just kicking the can down the road, which is so, it's such a tasty morsel in politicians' mouths because you get a win right now. Look, I made a war. I brought them to their knees. Now everything's fine. Global economics can move forward. But you kick the can down the road, so the children, our children, will have to fight this war again and again, and Iran has not been brought to its knees. Well, let's see what Israeli commentator and Middle East expert Zvi Yehezkeli has to say about this. He released a video today, scathing a scathing video. And this is somebody who is a supporter of Trump and Trump policies, but he is not happy with this latest development. Let's see what Zvi Yehezkeli has to say. I want to analyze this upcoming deal that is now being brought to our attention.
הסכם המתגבש עכשיו כמעט 9 בבוקר כדי להבין איפה אנחנו עומדים. טראמפ מודיע בחגיגיות כהרגלו על הסכם נפלא ומדהים.
So Trump is, at this early morning hours, Trump is letting us know about a wonderful deal, which is wonderful and excellent, and he's announcing it,
וכולי וכולי, אבל...
etc., etc. But calm down, says Zvi Yehezkeli. Don't get too excited.
טראמפ לא מבין כל כך את השכונה ואת המזרח התיכון, ובעיקר...
So Zvi Yehezkeli comes out strong, and he says Trump doesn't understand the Middle East so well, and especially...
איך זה נתפס בצד השני.
He's not taking into account how this deal is being received on the other side, on the Iranian side.
שימו לב להודעת דובר משרד החוץ האיראני.
Notice the Iranian foreign ministry and their messaging.
הוא אומר, הקיסר נכנע.
The Caesar has succumbed, has been defeated, is surrendering. Caesar is surrendering. That's what they're saying in Iranian national news. They're talking about Trump, and they're saying Caesar has he has capitulated.
לא הצלחתם להכניע, הוא משווה את זה לניסיון של להכניע את האימפריה הססנית.
So he says, the Iranians are saying, you have not managed to defeat us, you have not managed to cause us to surrender, and he says that this is language taken from the ancient Iranian Empire, that you were not, the Greece that fought the Iranian Empire was not able to defeat it.
איראן הקדומה, שבעצם הקיסר נכנע וטראמפ נכנע וכך זה משוב.
Caesar has surrendered, and that is the way it's being sold in Iran, says Zvi Yehezkeli.
רק באיראן. בתקשורת האמריקאית כמובן אומרים שהאיראנים הסכימו להוציא את האורניום.
The American press is saying that Iran has agreed to take out the nuclear material,
החוצה ולהפסיק את תוכנית הגרעין.
and that they have stopped their nuclear bomb plans,
ולפתוח את מצרי הורמוז שהיו
and that they're going to open up the Straits of Hormuz.
פתוחים גם ככה.
They were anyway, they were partially open.
מבחינת האיראנים הם לא נתנו כמעט כלום.
From the Iranian point of view, they hardly gave anything,
והם קיבלו את הכל.
but they received everything,
שימור המשטר שלהם.
which is essentially the most important thing, which is that their regime is intact, stays in place.
ופתיחת חשבונות הבנק והכספים.
And the frozen assets and the bank accounts are going to be unfrozen, which is the most important thing to continue this regime. And so therefore they're getting everything.
מוקפאים. וטראמפ מבחינתו הולך לאיזה סוג של הסכם.
From his perspective, Trump is going to a type of agreement, which he describes
תאר אותו כהסכם מדהים, אבל
as a wonderful deal.
מבחינת האיראנים הוא נכנע.
But from the Iranian point of view, he has succumbed. He has surrendered.
מדוע?
Why is that?
האיראנים עבד עניין הטילים על המפרץ. ומדינות המפרץ
It looks like that the reason for this capitulation is because the Iranian missile program against the UAE and against the friendly to Israel and friendly to the U.S. Persian Gulf allies,
מסתכלות עכשיו ומבינות שארצות הברית לא הלכה עד הסוף.
they understand, UAE, Bahrain, etc., they understand that America has not gone all the way and is not going to go all the way to the destruction of the Iranian regime.
אלא בעצם הלכה כאן לסוג של הסכם ביניים שמשאיר...
So instead, America has gone towards a intermediate agreement which has kept the Iranian regime in its place. They have not been moved. They have not budged from their place. They continue to stand and continue to have power to attack.
איראן בכוחה ממשיך את האיום של איראן על
The Iranian threat on the Persian Gulf continues.
מדינות המפרץ, וטראמפ בסופו של דבר עם כל הציוצים והתמונות
And Trump, at the end, with all of his pictures and all of his tweets,
של הנה אני מגיע,
here I'm coming and I'm going to destroy,
והעברת הצבא וכולי,
and I move the army towards the destruction of the Iranian regime.
בסופו של דבר נרקם הסכם, הוא בא ואמר להם אני רוצה הסכם.
And he said to them, President Trump said to them, I want a deal, says Israeli commentator and Middle East expert Zvi Yehezkeli, who is basically saying, in other words, that from the Iranian perspective, this deal is capitulation by the United States. Sad.
שרוצה הסכם בשכונה הוא החלש.
Whoever wants a deal in this hard neighborhood of the Middle East, he's the weak one, says Zvi Yehezkeli.
מי שלא הולך למלחמה הוא החלש.
He who does not go towards war is weak.
טראמפ נתפס בסופו של דבר, אם זה הסוף.
Trump has understood if indeed this is the end, and that's a big if, right? We got to give the benefit of the doubt. But if indeed this is the end of this conflict with Iran,
כך זה נראה כרגע, ואלו
this is the way it looks like right now. The proposal for the final deal, this is what it looks like.
אז טראמפ נתפס בעיני האיראנים כאחד שלא רצה להיכנס למהלך הסופי.
And so therefore Trump is to be understood by the Iranians as somebody who didn't want to take it all the way, and he didn't want to take war all the way,
משום שהוא פחד.
because he was afraid of the Iranians. That's the way they understand it. And Zvi Yehezkeli is giving you an insight into the regional mind. You might have thought, wow, they really got hit hard and their economy got hit hard and all that. But if their regime has stayed in its place and continues to operate, then they have stood up to the giant American Caesar and have defeated him.
עכשיו לגבי ישראל והזווית של ישראל.
Now let's look at it from Israel's perspective. He says, came Hezbollah, that's in South Lebanon, Iranian-aligned terrorist group that controls South Lebanon.
חיזבאללה טוען, אנחנו גם בתוך ההסכם, אנחנו גם מקבל את ההגנה.
The Hezbollah says, we too are within this agreement because we're part of Iran, and therefore Israel may not attack us anymore because now Trump signed a deal with Iran to stop hostilities, and so therefore we're protected by this deal as well.
אנחנו מאוד מקווים שאין סעיף כזה.
We in Israel hope very much that we're not going to be held to some kind of a language in this agreement that is going to limit our ability to attack Hezbollah, which wants to make continuous war. And anytime there isn't war, they arm for war. So we understand who they are. And so therefore, Zvi Yehezkeli warns against having any language in this so-called deal that might hamper Israel's ability to attack Hezbollah.
אוי ואבוי אם יש סעיף כזה.
God forbid there should be such language in this deal.
ישראל צריכה לנטרל את הסיפור של חיזבאללה.
Because Israel has to neutralize the problem of Hezbollah.
ישראל כרגע נשארת עדיין עם איראן בתור איום קיומי.
So at the end of this war, if indeed this is the end, Israel remains in a death war, in an existential danger by the threat of Iran. So the Iranian threat has not gone away at all. If anything, it's now going to be more brazen. And so therefore Israel will have to continue to deal with the problem of the Iranian regime and its puppet terrorist organizations and its continued nuclear ambitions as well.
ישראל נשארת עדיין עם איראן שמפעילה את הזרועות של חיזבאללה והחות'ים ועיראקים.
So Israel has to contend with the puppet organizations that are still there, which are Hezbollah and the Houthis and the Iraqi Shiites. And he doesn't mention Gaza here. Maybe he will.
המלחמה הזו לא גמרה את כוחה של איראן סופית ולא...
Right. This war has not finished off the strength and destroyed the abilities of Iran.
הכניע את שלטון האייתולות.
It did not cause the destruction of the Ayatollah regime and did not suppress them totally.
שאמר את זה אחד ממקורביו של טראמפ, לינזי גרהם, האם בכלל היה שווה לצאת למלחמה?
Lindsey Graham asked, was it even worth to go out to war at all? Right? It may not have been worth anything.
אם אלו קווי הסיום שלה.
If this is the end of it, then what was the point of the war?
ורק שאחר כך, עוד כמה חודשים, אם ההסכם הזה אכן סופי והוא כובל את ידינו,
If indeed this agreement is final and it handcuffs us, it hampers us, hamstrings us,
סופים, עוד כמה חודשים נגלה כמה היינו קרובים.
we will find out if indeed this is the end of the war. We'll find out how close we were indeed, how close this war could have been
להכניע את השלטון הזה ולשנות את
to defeat the regime of Iran,
המצב, מה שטראמפ בוחר לו לעשות עכשיו.
which Trump is deciding not to do now. So we're going to be like, oh my God, we could have annihilated them. We could have finished them off. but we missed this opportunity, says Zvi Yehezkeli.
יכול להיות שזה תרגיל, יכול להיות שזה עוד יתפוצץ, יכול...
It could be this will still explode. It could be that this is just a negotiation tactic. It could be that this is just a ruse in order to start a war again.
לחזור למלחמה, אני יודע, אבל זה נראה...
I don't know, but that's not what it looks like.
כאילו טראמפ סגר את ההסכם.
It looks like Trump made a deal.
ישראל פה בבעיה.
And Israel's got a problem.
האיראנים נכנסו כחיץ בין ישראל לארצות הברית.
It looks like the Iranians became a divisive element between Israel and the United States.
והשאירו את ישראל עם אינטרסים אחרים.
And Israel, at the end of this war, has different interests than the U.S. interests.
שאינם הגיעו לכלל ביצוע.
And these interests were not finalized. We're not able to fulfill the Israeli goals of this war, which was to get rid of this regime, to make sure that there's no more access of Iranian power choking us.
וזה העניין של הטילים הבליסטיים, תוכנית...
The ballistic missiles, the nuclear program,
והאיום של איראן.
and the general threat of Iran.
אנחנו נהיה בבעיה. אם ההסכם הזה יכבול את ידינו,
If indeed this agreement will handcuff us,
מזה שנצטרך לטפל באיראן ולהילחם מול איראן בסגנון עזה או לבנון,
if we have to fight in Iran down the line like we have fought in Gaza and Lebanon,
אנחנו בבעיה.
Israel is in a problem.
בסופו של דבר, טראמפ עם כל הכפיים
At the end, Trump with all of the clapping and the ovations and the pride
והעידוד שהוא קיבל על זה שהוא מבין את השכונה.
and all the support that he received because he seemed to have understood the region, the Middle East region.
כרגע התגלה כאחד שרק...
Right now has been revealed that he was running towards a deal.
למשא ומתן, והאיראנים אשפי המשא ומתן.
And the Iranians, who are the masters of making deals,
תיעלו אותו היטב היטב.
they tracked him. They put him into a track very well, and to give him a story of victory, to give him a deal, but to allow themselves to have an Iranian victory and to keep their regime.
ושוב, לאותה אכזבה.
And to a disappointment from the public,
מהציבור האיראני שלא...
a disappointment to the Iranian people who was not able to get the Iranian people who were, remember, murdered by the tens of thousands in the streets of Iran and Tehran, and they too were not able to rid themselves of this awful, oppressive Iranian regime.
גם ארצות הברית וישראל לא הצליחו לה...
And now the United States and Israel, so too, have not been able to rid the world of the Iranian threat.
למצב כזה, ואנחנו נשארים עם שלטון האייתולות
We are left with the Ayatollah regime.
שממשיך לאיים על האזור.
Will continue to threaten the whole region.
וזהו בעצם הבשורה הלא טובה בסיפור הזה.
That's the bad news of this story. There might still be more chapters, but the issue of trying to make a deal with this regime instead of getting rid of it definitely has shown a certain weakness. And I can tell you that I got a call from a friend today, and she said to me, you know, I've never been so, I'm absolutely mortified. I'm so depressed and despondent, given that this is totally the wrong direction. And there's been a lot of pressures on President Trump. If it's from Europe, if it's from China, if it's from Russia, if it's from Turkey, if it's from Egypt, a lot of pressure to stop this war and to continue, get back to economics. And he just was in China. Who knows? What was the understanding there? It could very well be that there was a threat made in China, which Trump took seriously. In any case, nobody's going to do Israel's wars for it. If we have a problem with the Iranian regime, then most likely Israel is going to have to do it and going to have to fight to keep its citizenry safe. Iran is still there. It's still there in Gaza. It's still in South Lebanon. It's still with the Houthis. It's still in the Iraqi irregulars. And they know how to tighten the noose. And now it seems that they also know how to play President Trump of the United States. Israel is therefore left to fend for itself. And that's exactly what it's going to probably have to do. All right, folks, I hope you appreciated this analysis and update of the deal. And don't forget that there's ways to support our show and our efforts to bring you the real news from the land of Israel, from the heartland of the Holy Land. You can join us at Yishai.tv on the internet or on YouTube, Yishai Fleischer TV, as well as supporting our show, buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. and reach out to me if you want me to speak in your community and continue to tell the story of a strong Israel that will lead this region. You can write me an email, Yishai at yishaifleischer.com. I'm sending you blessings from the land of blessings, and shalom.